The overhead surgical lights are not warm. They are a sterile, punishing, white. I can see the microscopic dust motes dancing in the glare. I can hear the hum of the HEPA filters. I can feel the weight of the air on my skin, but I cannot move a single muscle. My name is Dr. Nova, and I am currently the subject of a living autopsy. Zila stands over me, my stepfather, my mentor, my executioner. He holds a grade 4 titanium scalpel, the edge catching the light with a cruel, silver wink. He is leaning in his breath, smelling of expensive espresso and unearned victory. Most people fear death, I think. My mind is a silent cathedral, an island of logic in a sea of paralysis. I do not. I fear inefficiency. Silas thinks he is dissecting his daughter, his legacy. In reality, he is trying to crack a safe, a biometric vault where the combination is etched into my very marrow. He has exactly 12 minutes before my biological system initiates a recursive self-destruct, and he has just wasted 3 minutes, gloating. 48 hours ago. Ethelgard facility. The lab was quiet, the kind of quiet that precedes a landslide. I was running a deep tissue scan on the archived files of Subject 0. My mother. Richard, no. Silas had told me for 20 years that she died of stage 4 ovarian cancer. A tragedy, a motivator for my research, but the data didn't lie. I stared at the cellular structure on the monitor. There was no malignancy. There was only integration. She wasn't a patient. She was the prototype. The report was dated 3 days before my birth. Silas had injected her with a high-yield synthetic pathogen, a genetic sculptor. He didn't lose his wife to a disease. He harvested her. She was subject 0, and I was the intended result. Data recorded, I whispered. My heart a cold, steady metronome. The bloodline is not a bond. It is a crime scene. I didn't have time to process the grief. I didn't have the luxury of emotion. I turned to find Silas standing in the doorway. He wasn't angry. He was disappointed. Like a scientist watching a spoiled culture. You always were too curious, Nova, he said. He didn't move. He just tapped his tablet. The main screen in the lab flickered to life. Security footage. I watched myself. 2 a.m. I saw my body walk to the central reservoir. I saw my hands, steady and mechanical, inject a dark, translucent vial into the facility's water supply. A neural decay virus. I didn't do that, I said. My voice was a flat line. Technically, you did, Silas replied. He stepped closer, his shadow swallowing my workstation. Neural override is a beautiful thing, isn't it? While you slept, I simply borrowed your motor functions. Why do the dirty work myself when I have a daughter who can take the blame? He smiled. A thin, bloodless line. The authorities are already on their way. A brilliant scientist, snapped by the pressure, attempting to poison her own center. It's a tragic headline. Nova, I ran, not toward the exit, but deeper. Toward the places that don't exist on the digital map. Leverkilens. The air here tasted of ozone and ancient, stagnant water. I bypassed the biometric locks, using a bypass code I had spent months calculating in the back of my mind. The heavy steel doors groaned. They opened into a room I can only describe as the room of echoes. I stopped. The briefcase in my hand felt suddenly, impossibly, heavy. There were 4 glass tanks, suspended in a glowing violet nutrient broth. 4 bodies, 4 faces. My face. Nova, Agi. Nova, 2. Nova, 3. Nova, Chet. The first was crude, a mass of unregulated growth. The second was better, but the bone structure was brittle. The third had a fractured nervous system. The fourth was almost perfect, but she had died in the incubation phase. And then, there was me, Nova Piech. I wasn't Silas's daughter. I wasn't even a human being in the traditional sense. I was a recurring experiment, a 5th-generation iteration of a biological weapon disguised as a girl. I looked at the bodies in the tanks. My sisters. My ghosts. I am not a person, I whispered to the empty room. I am a patch in a failing operating system. The security team found me 5 minutes later. They circled me. Rifles raised, their red laser sights dancing across my chest like fireflies. Silas walked through the center of the formation, holding a sedative autoinjector. I didn't fight. I didn't scream. I looked directly into the security camera mounted in the corner. I knew the feed was being archived on an encrypted cloud server I had established months ago. I felt the cold needle of the autoinjector press against my neck. I didn't look at Silas. I looked at the lens. Data synchronization complete, I said. I let my lips curve into a singular, terrifying smile. The darkness claimed me, but as I went under, I wasn't afraid. I am the virus. I am the cure. And Silas has no idea that he just invited the end of the world into his operating room. The walls of the White Room are not solid. They are an absence of color, an absence of mercy. I sit in the center of the floor. My legs are crossed. My spine is a perfectly vertical axis. To Silas, watching through the reinforced observation glass, I look like a prisoner. To me, I am the only one in this facility who is truly free. He does not understand the hardware. He never did. I have synchronized the facility's life support with my own autonomic nervous system, I say. My voice is a flat, dry whisper that carries through the intercom. Silas freezes. His hand is on the control panel, ready to increase my sedative. My heart rate is now the master clock for the oxygen scrubbers in your private wing, Silas. If my pulse exceeds 100 beats per minute, or if it stops, your air supply is terminated. I have turned my biological existence into a hostage situation. I look at him. I do not blink. You wanted my heart, Silas. Now, you cannot afford to let it skip a single beat. The hours pass in a heavy, suffocating stillness. Silas is no longer the composed architect of Aethelgard. He paced behind the glass, his movements erratic, his skin taking on a translucent, jaundiced hue. He screams. He pounds his fist against the transparency. The sequence. Give me the master sequence, Nova. I built you. I own every strand of your DNA. I do not respond. I am busy. I am watching the micro tremors in his hands. I am analyzing the way his pupils fail to constrict in the light. He is using the V7 serum, the one derived from the failed marrow of Nova 3. He is trying to achieve immortality by consuming the remains of my predecessors. You are suffering from acute cellular rejection, Silas, I say calmly. The drug is not a bridge to godhood. It is a biological solvent. It is dissolving your liver, your mind, your legacy. You aren't becoming a god. You are becoming a ghost. While you are still alive. He stops. He stares at me, his eyes bloodshot and wide with a terrifying hollow greed. Fix me, he rasps. You are the only one who can. I am not a doctor today, Silas, I reply. I am the auditor. And your debt is overdue. I close my eyes. I focus on the subaudible frequencies of the room. I begin to hum. It is not a song. It is a specific, low frequency, vibration, a 7 hertz pulse that resonates through the ventilation duct into the tanks of level 9. In the security room, the monitors begin to flicker. The guards stand up, their hands on their holsters. They look at the screens in horror. Down in the shadows, in the nutrient vats, Nova 1 through 4 begin to move. Their fingers twitch in unison. Their heads tilt at the same exact angle. It is a rhythmic, macabre ballet. 1,000 glass tanks across the facility begin to vibrate as the failed iterations start to mimic my heartbeat. What are you doing? Silas screams. He looks at the security feeds. He sees 100 versions of his daughter staring back at him, eyes open, reflecting the same cold indifference. I am sending a ghost message, I whisper. The sisters are waking up, Silas, and they remember the scalpel. I dive deeper, past the heart, past the hum of the facility. I enter the neural labyrinth. I access the genetic memory stored in the introns of my DNA, the part Silas dismissed as junk. A vision materializes in the dark of my mind. Not Silas. A man. Dr. ERASE. My true creator. My father. He is sitting in a sun-drenched study, far away from this sterile tomb. He is looking at a microscopic slide. And then, he looks at me. Nova, he says. His voice is a memory of warmth I didn't know I possessed. If you are seeing this, it means the parasite has tried to take everything, but a virus cannot survive without the host's permission. He shows me the code, the hidden, elegant finality. He didn't just give me the perfect sequence. He gave me a punishment clause, a dormant sequence designed to activate only when the host recognizes the predator. It is a biological burn notice. I open my eyes. The white room is no longer a cage. It is a firing squad. I found it, Silas, I say. My voice is the sound of a closing lid. I look at his shaking hands. I look at the crumbling empire of Ethelgard. My father left a will. And you aren't even in the fine print. The countdown in the stone has moved into the marrow. Friday is no longer a deadline. It is a funeral. The grand atrium of Ethelgard has been transformed into a temple of avarice, a digital cathedral for the world's elite. The air is thick with the scent of ozone and the heavy, suffocating musk of old money. The vultures have gathered. Billionaires, oligarchs, titans of industry sitting in the dark, their faces illuminated by the blue glow of bidding tablets. They are here for the ultimate acquisition. They are here to buy a god. Silas stands on the central dais, his skin sallow, his eyes manic. He looks like a dying king clinging to a stolen scepter. Tonight, we do not sell a cure, he bellows, his voice echoing off the reinforced glass. Tonight, we sell the end of mortality. The master sequence, the Nova Vive Genome, a heavy, pressurized hiss fills the room. The central containment unit rises. I step out. I am not in a hospital gown. I am not a patient. I am draped in the silver-gray shadows of the facility, my eyes glowing with a quiet, terrifying lucidity. I do not look like a product. I look like a judge. The room goes silent. The vultures stop breathing. I am no longer the daughter. I am the apex. Begin the transfer. Silas screams, his hand trembling as he reaches for the master server. Show them the code. Show them their future. I look at the camera, at the eyes of the monsters watching through the encrypted feed. I lean in. My lips inches from the biometric receiver. Apoptosis. Omega. I whisper. The sound is not a shout. It is a command. The massive monitors behind Silas do not display a DNA sequence. They erupt into a digital whiteout. 0, 0, 0. What? No. Silas lunges for the terminal. His fingers fly across the keys. But the data is vanishing. Not stolen, deleted, dissolved. The billionaires look at their tablets. The price drops from 10 figures to nothing in a heartbeat. The billion-dollar code they just purchased has been replaced by a single line of text. System purge. Insufficient biological integrity. You sold them trash, Silas, I say. My voice a cold, steady vibration. You tried to auction the soul of a ghost. But ghosts, they don't belong to the market. Silas turns, his face contorting, his veins bulging with a sickly violet pressure. You've ruined us, he rasps, clutching his throat. I need the serum. Give me the stabilizers. My body. It's burning. I walk toward him, my boots clicking with a slow, rhythmic finality on the glass floor. There are no more stabilizers, Silas, I say, my words landing like heavy stones. The drug you've been taking, the one extracted from the marrow of my sisters, it wasn't a cure. It was a debt. I look at the investors. Their faces pale with horror. He's been injecting himself with the failures of the past, I announce. And now, the past is reclaiming its matter. I tap a command on my tablet. The genetic erase begins. Silas lets out a sound that is not human. It is the sound of cells turning against themselves. Right before their eyes, the architect begins to dissolve. His skin loses its cohesion, turning into a gray, translucent ash. His fingers melt into the podium. His legacy is literally liquefying, his biological structure failing, as the V7 serum initiates a recursive autophagy. He is not dying, he is being unmade. Stop it, he gurgles, falling to his knees. Help me. I am a scientist, Silas, I reply, looking down at the heap of gray matter that used to be a man. I am simply observing the results of a failed experiment. You were never the creator, you were just a contaminant. I turn to the camera, to the elite, to the world. The facility is crumbling around me. Alarms are screaming, but I am the center of the storm. Evolution cannot be bought with a bank wire, I say. My voice echoing through the ruins of Aethelgard. It cannot be stolen in a laboratory. It is earned through the fire of existence. It is paid for in sacrifice. I lean into the lens, my gaze a cold, unyielding vacuum, and I am the one holding the invoice. I press the final button. Facility self, destruct, T minus 60 seconds. Ext. Swiss Alps. Night. The snow is falling. White, pure, silent. I walk away from the mountain. Behind me, a muffled, deep vibration shakes the earth. A pillar of fire erupts from the heart of the peaks, consuming the secrets, the tank, and the ghosts of Aethelgard. I stop in the middle of the frozen wasteland. I pull a singular charred file from my pocket. Subject: Nova, Sync. I strike a match. The flame is small, but it is mine. I watch the paper turn to black ash, the wind carrying the fragments of my designation into the night. I am no longer a generation. I am no longer a version. I am the first of one. The winter of silence has ended. I take a breath, the air cold, sharp, and for the first time, entirely my own.